The Honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr., revered statesman and committed champion of justice, gracious guardian of humanity, noble patron of peace, you stand in truth, power, integrity, and are blessed in the glory of God. You are #1 on the global stage as the 46th President of the United States, a magnificent commander-in-chief, expertly leading America in making monumental innovations and passing legislation to improve the quality of life for all. Moreover, you stand firm and focused in achieving productive results and significant solutions, born of a sincere desire to leave an awesome legacy for our beloved nation. Admired for your sound analytical intellect and open embrace of all, your popularity on both sides of the aisle of the United States led to your illustrious reputation and outstanding service of 36 years as a Democratic senator from Delaware, beginning at the tender age of 29. On the Senate Judiciary Committee for 16 years as both chairman and a ranking member, you have been lauded for writing and leading the legislative effort resulting in the passage of the landmark Violence Against Women Act, which provides unprecedented resources for assault survivors and has led to a critical conversation on domestic and sexual crimes across our country. Your concern for your fellow citizens, their health, education, opportunity, environment, and total welfare as the 47th Vice President in the Obama administration and now as a leader of the free world is marked by the same tenacity and stellar success that you have demonstrated throughout your legislative career and life. Making good on another of your campaign promises and achieving what your predecessors could not, you signed into law the historic $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, providing sorely needed funds for public works projects to keep America moving forward. Heeding the call to serve the whole of this nation, you are truly walking the walk in all areas. The American Bar Association reported that more than any other Oval Office holder, you have nominated and secured confirmation of more women and racially diverse attorneys to the federal bench, totaling 68 some 68 black, Latino, or Asian Americans to date, with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson as the most high-profile first black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. You continue to deliver on the 3 pillars identified at the start of your presidency: the battle for the soul of our nation, the need to rebuild our middle class, the backbone of our country, and a call for unity to act as one America. A native of Scranton, Pennsylvania, you grew up in Claremont, Delaware, graduated from the University of Delaware and Syracuse Law School before serving on the Newcastle County Council. Your wife, a lifelong educator, Dr. Jill Biden, has been by your side through tragedy and triumph for 46 years as you have raised 3 adult children, Hunter Bo and daughter Ashley. Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., Howard University is most honored and pleased to name you a favorite son of the capstone as we salute and hold in our highest esteem your unmatched record for justice, empowerment, and the peaceful advancement of humanity throughout the world. We revere, commend, and proudly applaud your magnificent life of leadership and contributions that will inure to the benefit of America and the global community for time immemorial. It is with heartfelt respect and immense pride that we honor you on the historic occasion of our 155th commencement as orator, conferring upon you the degree Doctor of Letters honoris causa. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that introduction. Dr. Morris, thank you for the incredible honorary degree. And thank you, President Frederick, for the invitation and for your leadership of your alma mater. Serena, student body president, College of Pharmacy, class speaker. And just remember, when you're president of the United States and they say Joe Biden's out in the waiting room to say hello, promise me you will not say Joe who, right? You all think I'm kidding. To the distinguished faculty and staff, thank you for having me, and to the parents and families in the class of 2023, congratulations. And by the way, we will get to giving you your degrees. I promise that's coming. You are here with the heart and through the heartache, through blood, sweat, and tears of everything that's come before, for everything yet to come. You're here at the new moment of hope and possibilities. For graduates, before we begin, as mentioned many times, tomorrow's Mother's Day. Stand for your mothers and grandmothers. Stand and thank them. Where I come from, moms rule. To my friend, and he is my friend, Congressman Jim Clyburn, the thing that I admire most about you, Jim, is your absolute integrity in everything you do. In everything you do. This is a man of honor. I attended South Carolina State University's commencement as Jim received his degree he earned 60 years ago, but never got a chance to receive it in person. Jim, it's an honor to join you here today and receive an honorary degree from this great university. And it's truly special to join fellow honorees, Prime Minister Rowley. Prime Minister, I didn't know you were so talented. I just thought you were a foreign policy, Latin American guy. We got to talk. All kidding aside, thank you for being a strong partner in the Caribbean and for addressing climate change and supporting democracies across the Western Hemisphere. I'm also honored that, as a person here today, Dr. Tony Allen. He's president of my home state, BCU, Delaware State University, where I got politically started. I was fortunate to have Tony as a Senate staffer for a long time. Then he got his PhD, had a distinguished career in business, and became president of HBCU. Now Tony chairs my White House Board of Advisors on HBCUs, which is designed to support and advance HBCU excellence with a lot more money. I'm also proud to say that we're the first White House to formally convene where the real power is, the Divine Nine. Oh, y'all think I'm kidding. Not a joke. The Divine Nine not only has a seat at the table, we definitely hear you at the table. And they're our first time ever at the White House, permanently. So folks, in 2023, I'm truly honored to be here at Howard. Chartered 156 years ago by an act of Congress just after emancipation of the Civil War. Founded on a hilltop in Washington, D.C., the Mecca. Always promoting excellence, leadership, and truth and service. It really has. And a proving ground for future leaders of science, medicine, education, business, faith, arts, entertainment, public service. Trailblazing intellectuals, lawyers, doctors. The first black, I might say, Vice President of the United States of America. I'll say that again. Kamala sends her love, and she sent a clear message that today I have the privilege, she points out, of speaking at the real HU. Now you realize that's going to cost me at home. There's enormous pride in this university. Founded in the verses of Howard Anthem, and I quote, reared against the eastern sky, proudly there on hilltop high. There she stands for truth and right, sending forth her rays of light. It matters. It matters. It matters. We're living through one of the most consequential moments in our history, with fundamental questions at stake for our nation. Who are we? What do we stand for? What do we believe? Who will we be? You're going to help answer those questions. Let me take you back to January 2009. I stood in Wilmington, Delaware, on the train station of Amtrak, carrying my folder, waiting to be picked up by a guy named Barack Obama. The first black man elected president of the United States. I was there to join him as vice president on the way to the historic inauguration in Washington. A moment of extraordinary hope, but also as I stood there, and this is the God's truth, I couldn't help think about another day I stood there. It wasn't much more than your age. I just got out of law school. I'd gone to work for a big firm, but my state, because of when Dr. King was assassinated, my city parts were burned to the ground. We had a very conservative governor. He stationed the National Guard in every corner with drawn bayonets for 10 months. I quit and became a public defender. I used to have to introduce my clients. No, that's not so noble. I had to interview my clients down at the Wilmington train station when they were arrested on the east side. That's where they'd be taken. In the aftermath of the riots that burned Wilmington following his assassination. In 2009, while waiting for Barack, I was both living history at the same time I was reliving it. A vivid demonstration when it comes to race in America. Hope doesn't travel alone. It's shadowed by fear, by violence, and by hate. But after the election and the re-election of the first black American president, I had hope that the fear, violence, and hate was significantly losing ground. After no longer being vice president, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years. But in 2017, in Charlottesville, Virginia, crazed neo-Nazis with angry faces came out of the fields literally with torches, carrying Nazi banners from the woods and the fields, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s, something I never thought I would ever see in America. Accompanied by Klansmen and white supremacists, emerging from dark rooms and remote fields and the anonymity of the internet, confronting decent Americans of all backgrounds, standing in their way into the bright light of day. And a young woman, objecting to their presence, was killed. And what did you hear? That famous quote when asked about what happened. That famous quote, "There are very fine people on both sides." That's when I knew, and I'm not joking, that's when I knew I had to stay engaged and get back into public life. No, I don't say it for that reason. I say it for the journey. I don't have to tell you that fearless progress toward justice often meets ferocious pushback from the oldest and most sinister of forces. That's because hate never goes away. I thought when I graduated we could defeat hate, but it never goes away. It only hides under the rocks. And when it's given oxygen, it comes out from under that rock. And that's why we know this truth as well. Silence is complicity. It cannot remain silent. We have to live through this battle for the soul of the nation. And it is still a battle for the soul of the nation. What is the soul of a nation? Well, I believe the soul is the breath, the life, the essence of who we are. The soul makes us us. The soul of America is what makes us unique among all nations. We're the only country founded on an idea, not geography, not religion, not ethnicity, but an idea. The sacred proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in the Declaration of Independence that we're all created equal in the image of God and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. While we've never fully lived up to that promise, we never before fully walked away from it. We know that American history has not always been a fairy tale. From the start, it's been a constant push and pull for more than 240 years between the best of us, the American ideal that we're all created equal, and the worst of us, a harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart. It's a battle that's never really over. But on the best days, enough of us have the guts and the hearts to stand up for the best in us, to choose love over hate, unity over disunion, progress over retreat, to stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did in my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU. I say it wherever I go. To stand up for truth over lies, lies told for power and profit. To confront the ongoing assault to subvert our elections, suppress our right to vote. That assault came just as you cast your first ballots in 20 and 22. Record turnouts. You delivered historic progress. I made it clear that Americans of all backgrounds, have an obligation to call out political violence that has been unleashed and emboldened. As was mentioned already, bomb threats to this very university and HBCUs across the country. To put democracy on the ballot, to reject political extremism and reject political violence, protect fundamental rights and freedom for women to choose, for transgender children to be free, for affordable health care and housing, for the right to raise your family and retire with dignity, to stand with leaders of your generation who give voice to the people demanding action on gun violence, only to be expelled from state legislative bodies, to stand against books being banned and black history being erased. I'm serious, think about it. To stand up for the best in us. And today I come here to Howard to continue the work to redeem the soul of this nation, because it's here where I see the future, and that's not hyperbole. We can finally resolve those ongoing questions about who we are as a nation that put strength of our diversity at the center of American life. The future that celebrates and learns from history. A future for all Americans. A future I see you leading, and I'm not, again, exaggerating. You are going to be leading it. Again, let's be clear. There are those who don't see you and don't want this future. There are those who demonize and pit people against one another. And there are those who do anything and everything, no matter how desperate or immoral, to hold on to power. And that's never going to be an easy battle. But I know this, the oldest, most sinister forces may believe they'll determine America's future, but they are wrong. We will determine America's future. You will determine America's future. And that's not hyperbole. No graduating class gets to choose the world into which they graduate. Every class enters the history of a nation up to the point it has been written by others. But few classes, once in every several generations, enters at a point in our history where it actually has a chance to change the trajectory of the country. You face that inflection point today. And I know you'll meet the moment. I just think about the many ways you already have. With your voices and votes, I was able to fulfill my commitment to put the first black woman on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And by the way, she's brighter than the rest. She is one bright woman. Because of you, more black women have been appointed to the federal appellate courts than under every other president in American history combined. And by the way, I mean it. I mean it because of you. Because of you. You turned out. You spoke up. You knew. You showed up and the votes counted. And you made people say, whoa, wait a minute. What price will I pay if I don't do the following? You feel the promise and peril of climate change. Because of you, we're making the biggest investment ever in the history of the world in climate change. Don't ever think your voice doesn't matter. I'm keeping my promise that no one should be in jail merely because of using and possessing marijuana. Their record should be expunged. Just expunged. My student debt relief plan would help tens of millions of people, especially those on Pell Grants. 70% of black college students receive Pell Grants. Many of you, the savings would be significant in even wiping out student debt completely for some. But this new Republican Party is dead set against it, suing my administration to stop you from getting student debt relief. The same opposition who received relief loans, I might add, to keep their businesses afloat during the pandemic. Members of the Congress worth thousands, even millions of dollars, most of which didn't have to be paid back. Yet, they say it's okay for them, but not for you. I find it outrageous. To reduce your student debt service payments when you graduate, we're also ensuring that no one with an undergraduate loan today or in the future will have to pay more than 5% of discretionary income to repay their loans, down from 10, and in 20 years is gone. Republican officials are fighting that as well. But I'll always keep fighting for you, and many others will, and many in the Republican Party as well will fight for you. We also know there's more to do. Because of your power, we took the most significant law on gun violence. We passed it, most significant law in 30 years. But we will not give up. I got the assault weapons ban passed 30 years ago, and we're going to pass it again. We must pass it. There's more to do on police reform and public safety. During the State of the Union, I asked the rest of the country to imagine having to talk to their children, their families, like your families had to talk to you. It's about your security. It's about your dignity. It's demeaning and degrading and deadly when you have to stand there and say, when you're stopped, turn the interior light on. Put both hands on the wheel. Don't reach for your license. What in the hell's going on in there? No. Think about it. I ask all the parents, not minority children, ask what they would say, what they would do. I know you're frustrated that there's so many elected officials who refuse to pass a law that will do something. Kamala and I stood next to the family of George Floyd and the civil rights leaders and law enforcement officials to sign the executive order I came up with requiring the key elements of the George Floyd bill be applied to federal law enforcement. Banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, establishing a database for police misconduct, advancing effective and accountable community policing that builds public trust. And we'll keep fighting to pass the reforms nationwide. Equal justice is a covenant we have with each other. It must not just be an ideal, it has to be a reality. You're leading the way on this and so much more. That's why Kamala and I are so committed to investing in you and HBCUs. HBCUs help produce 40% of black engineers, 50% of black lawyers. 70% of black doctors and dentists, 80% of black judges. Look, we see HBCU excellence in every day with staff at every level at the White House and the administration. Because I decided when I was elected, I promised I was going to have my administration look like America. But we all know that HBCUs don't have the same endowments and funding as other major colleges and universities. For example, denying the opportunity to build and fund research labs that will lead to new technologies and good-paying jobs. That's why I asked them, we've invested $6 billion in counting in HBCUs, including to create new research and development labs that prepare students for jobs of the future in high-income fields from cybersecurity, engineering, biochemistry, healthcare. Standing here, I think the last time I came to Howard with President Frederick and others was in my final year as Vice President to host the Cancer Moonshot on campus because you're leading the way. You're the scientists, the doctors, the advocates who bring and do big things like ending cancer as we know it and even curing some cancers, which we're on our way of doing. You're the diplomats and global citizens making democracy work for people around the world. Lawyers defending our rights, artists shaping our culture. Fearless journalists. This is real, though. This is what you're doing. Fearless journalists and intellectuals pursuing the truth and challenging convention. You're the leaders of tomorrow, but it's coming on you really quickly. Because of you, I see a future we can finally move away from the narrowed and cramped view that the promise of America is a zero-sum game. If you succeed, I fail. If you get ahead, I fall behind. And maybe worst of all, if I can't hold you down, I can't lift myself up. Instead of what it should be. If you do well, we all do well. That's what I see. That's what I see in America. And more Americans are. The future of possibilities for all Americans. Look, no matter that future, what it holds, my sincere hope is that each of you find the sweet spot between happiness, success, and ambition. A good life, a life of purpose. Because here's the thing. You don't know where or what fate will bring you or when. You just have to keep going. You have to just keep the faith. You have to just get up. And you can find the balance between ambition and happiness and success. That good life, of purpose, of family. And as you know here at Howard, of excellence, leadership, and truth and service. There's no quit in you. There's no quit in America. So let me close with this. In our lives, in the life of the nation, we know that fear can shadow hope. But it's also true that hope can defeat fear. In January 2021, I stood in the U.S. Capitol to be inaugurated as President of the United States. Just days before, on that very spot, a violent insurrection took place, a dagger at the throat of democracy. For the first time in our history, an attempt to stop the peaceful transfer of power in this country. And they failed. Our democracy held. Again, hope prevailed. And this time, I was standing with a black woman about to take a 2-mile procession down Pennsylvania Avenue as President and Vice President of the United States of America. And who was marching alongside her? The Howard University Marching Band in lockstep and solidarity. You were. I give you my word as a bride. Class of 2023, you're the reason I'm so optimistic about the future. And I give you my word, I really mean it. You're part of the most gifted, tolerant, talented, best educated generation in American history. That's a fact. And it's your generation, more than anyone else's, will answer the questions for America. Who are we? What do we stand for? What do you believe? What do we believe? What do we want to be? I'm not saying you have to share this burden all on your own. The task at hand ahead is the work of all of us. But what I am saying is, you represent the best of us. And that's the God's truth. You represent the best of us. Your generation will not be ignored, will not be shunned, will not be silenced. So on the hilltop high, keep standing for truth and right, and send your rays of light. Congratulations to you all. We need you. God bless you, and may God protect our troops.